Amateur video from here on the beach captured part of the Scarborough Bluffs collapsing Sunday afternoon.
Holy. Oh my God, babe, it's coming.
A landslide created this dramatic scene at the Bluffs lookout point.
The Scarborough Bluffs are comprised mostly of sand, so the material is inherently unstable, and you see landslides, more minor, happen like fairly routinely, but then throughout the year we'll have a couple more major movements like this where it can be quite dramatic. We have reports of a major one fairly recently, and we know they're happening relatively at any time throughout the length of the Bluffs.
Brian Polly Dixon, an American artist, says he visited the Bluffs a couple of weeks ago and noticed a rock in the same area of yesterday's collapse looked unstable and recorded this video.
Damn, this shit fell. The first time I came, I noticed that there was like a big piece kind of hanging off, like a weak spot, inevitably where it fell. So, my curiosity, I had to go over there and kind of stand underneath it and take the Instagram video. But so I was just kind of saying that this spot is a weak spot. I could be done for if it falls. And then I got a message from a buddy of mine. He was like, "Oh, how ironic that spot you were underneath fell the other day." So I rode out here again today to kind of check it out.
The Toronto and Region Conservation Authority, TRCA, says this is still a safe area to frequent, but it's important to respect signage.
So the city had already installed a barrier along the beach to prevent people from walking close to where the fall was on Sunday. People will try to look at the lookout up at the very top of the bluffs. So they'll go up to the tableland at the parks and they'll look there. And that's extremely dangerous. In general, you want to stay outside of any fences or barriers on top of the bluffs and be careful when you're below them, and stick to the trails and stick to the park systems that are meant to be recreational.
I think where most of the slides do take place, it's not close at the bottom side. It's not close to publicly accessible areas. The bigger concern is, of course, on the top. The particular slide that happened on the weekend is an area where there is a park. We have a number of signs. We have a number of fences that really we want people to stay away from the top of the bluffs. What happened on Sunday is a good example of the danger that if you don't follow the signs and do not go across the fences, you'll be safe. But if you venture beyond that, there are serious dangers.
Will we continue to see larger events happening?
I'd say without a doubt, yes. We've already been seeing now when you talk about landslides and movements like this, they tend to be more variable from a seasonal perspective. So I'd say like when do we see the most landslides is in particular probably in the spring when you're coming out of with the heavier rainfalls just after the snow, and in the fall with the significant rainfall. But in general, there's some serious impacts with climate change and high lake levels. In addition to these landslides, we're seeing a lot more wave action and a lot more intense pressure on our shorelines and our treatments, and like even the adjacent like beloved park infrastructure and properties that are all being impacted. The public should just all be generally mindful of it and concerned about, because it will change how we use these recreational spaces. These storm events are causing a lot more damage than what we anticipated when a lot of these structures were built 50, 60 years ago.
The TRCA says they started tracking changes in erosion a year ago using drone footage. They hope in a few years from now they can see where these landslides are occurring and how much material is being lost. At the Scarborough Bluffs, Stella Acquisto, City News.